Hello. In this second video we'll learn how to install Linux in a dual boot in GNS3 over the previous Windows 10 virtual machine we've got already installed. So let's start. Let's go to GNS3 and here we shall go to the end devices and select the previous Windows 10 machine. First of all, we need to increase the disk space to make room for the Linux partition. So we have to left click, set up the template, and here in the hard drive we need to know where that image, that file is located. So just click in browse and we'll know that this image is in our home folder GNS3 images QEMU. But with the right click on the image, just we can copy the location. So we can now open a terminal. We could close that too. Open a terminal. So we can use one command. The command we need to use for increasing the size of a disk is called QEMU image. Without you. Sorry, QEMU image, and we need to resize. Here we can paste the location of the file, and at the end we have to add the amount of space we want to increase. For example, plus 15 gigabytes, or the amount of space we want to use in our new partition. Just with that command, the image will be resized. Okay, so now we have the disk increased and we can proceed to install Linux. First of all, it's important that we make sure that in this template, in advance, we have it not marked as a linked base, because we want to install that in our real image disk, so we can use later on as a basis for a linked base VM. So now we have to uncheck that option. Okay, drag the machine into our workspace. We'll drag also an add device, so during the installation of the Linux operating system we'll be able to use the internet, and now we can just start our machine and go to the console. Okay, it's starting to Windows instead of going to install Linux. Why is it? Because we have to change the boot priority. So we shut down the virtual machine, and once it's off we have to change the way this machine boots. So closing the BNS viewer, setup, and here you have a boot priority. In general settings you have boot priority, and you will put first the DVD, because you want first to boot from the Linux, from the Ubuntu DVD. And here in CD DVD we want to change the previous Windows 10 image for a new one I have in the downloads folder, for a new Ubuntu desktop disk image. Okay, click open. I need some time to set up the image. I don't need it copied, so I don't want it to be copied. Okay, so now this Windows machine will first boot from the first boot from the CD DVD, and in the CD DVD we'll have our Ubuntu image. So let's start. Let's open a console, and here you can check try or install Ubuntu. So let's go to try or install Ubuntu. And from here we will need just to make a new part, choose the new space in our hard drive, so Ubuntu could be installed in that new space without modifying the Windows installation. Have to wait for a while till the screen appears. Okay, that's installation. So we want to install, we choose a language and we choose Catalan, and we'll install Ubuntu. The keyboard layout Spanish, continue. We want a normal installation, would be okay with a minimal installation. We just need a web browser, nothing more, so it will be faster and use less space. So minimal installation will be okay. It's okay to update the system while it's installing. Continue. And now we'll need to choose where do you want to install. Says, do you want to delete the disk? No. Something else? No. We want to install Ubuntu alongside Windows 10. So both things will be preserved. Okay, install now, and it will be some changes. There will be a new partition for booting in UEFI and a new partition using for Linux. So we choose continue. Okay, time would be okay. Continue, just you have to put here a name. I always put Ubuntu. The name is, I'll say Ubuntu GNS3, username Ubuntu, and password Ubuntu, and that's it. Now it's the normal installation step, so I will stop the video and go back once everything has finished. Okay, back here, the installation has finished, and now it's asking to remove the installation medium and press enter. Before doing that, we have to go to our GNS3, configure the appliance, change the boot priority to hard drive, and then remove our CD DVD. So just okay, so it has to be like this. Now it will boot from the HDD and there will be no DVD attached. Okay, so we can go here and say okay. And now look, we have a dual boot. We have an Ubuntu here and Windows here. So we can choose if we want to launch one or the other, just to check that Ubuntu is working. And then before we will be able to use that appliance, remember that we'll need to go to the configuration of the appliance and check the option of being a linked base VM. So after Ubuntu and the password was Ubuntu, so okay, perhaps I put the wrong password. So let's shut down and let's check that we can't start from Windows. So let's use the other option, Windows, and it's also booting our Windows interface. So we just shut down the machine, stop. It's important to try to stop our Windows and Ubuntu virtual machines properly instead of just closing it. Okay, so now it's stopped, and we can just delete that virtual machine and finally go here to the template, configure template, and in advance check use as a linked base VM. Okay, so you will be able to use that machine in as many times as you want if you have enough resources. Okay, uh, remember that if you don't have enough RAM, you'll have to reduce the number, so you will be able to use 2, 3, or 4 virtual machines as you need, and every machine could be booted in Linux or in Windows as you wish. So just I'm deleting that, and last thing, I will just change the name of that setup to something plus more meaningful. So I know that here I have a Windows 10 and Ubuntu dual boot Windows and Linux virtual machine. Okay, thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Hi, welcome back. Just a small comment. After some trying, I realized that sometimes Ubuntu gives some problem with the screen. If you try to open that machine in Linux, sometimes after you try to log in, there's a blank screen and you can see anything. A workaround for these behaviors, a way of avoiding that problem in Linux, will be changing the video emulation. Let's see the problem. If I log in Ubuntu, uh, you can see there's a black screen and it stays here and there's no way of viewing anything. So you have to close it, have to close the virtual machine and change something in the setup. If we change that here, we will change only for that project, so we'll delete that machine and try to change the setup in our template. For that you have to go to advanced, and instead of using the virtio emulation for the graphical interface, yes, use the standard emulation for the VGA interface. With this change, you can use again your Linux, start, open a console, booting into Ubuntu, and now hopefully the graphical interface will work, and once you log in you'll see the Ubuntu interface, and then we'll check that also Windows is working properly with that setup. Ubuntu, and now you can see the Ubuntu interface. So now let's restart the machine. So we could boot from Windows and check that also the Windows screen is working okay. So just if you have problems with the virtio interface, you just need to change that for the standard VGA video interface, and with that video interface, Windows and Linux will work perfectly. Let's wait till Windows installing the new driver. Put the password, and the Windows user interface should appear. Okay, here we are. So with that change, You should be able to use both Linux and Windows without problem. Just remember that the configuration of the template, here closing and deleting, the configuration of the template should be that one. In the video, using standard instead of virtio. Okay, so that's all. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.